You're listening to an Airwave Media Podcast.
Hey there! Did you know Baker's always gives you savings and rewards on top of our lower-than-low prices? And when you download the Baker's app, you'll enjoy over $500 in savings every week with digital coupons. And don't forget fuel points to help you save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. Want to save even more? With a Boost membership, you'll get double fuel points and free delivery. So shop and save big at Baker's today. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Hi everybody and welcome to Who Did What Now, the history podcast that's not your history class, Bittisodes, the little bits of history that don't quite fit anywhere else, with me your host, Katie Charlwood, history harlot and reader of books. So my voice still hasn't fully returned, obviously, and I'm not feeling great, but I'm hoping you find this voice very alluring and sexy. But yeah, it's been a bit of a week. But look, here's a Bittisode. Haven't had one of these in a while, and it's festive. Yay! It's it's one of those things. So I've been trying to do a lot more work for the podcast, and I have some plans for some really fun stuff in the new year. And it's a lot of, I've taken a lot of notes, and I want to be able to do stuff when my brain and voice are working in tandem, instead of just, I'm gonna say coasting. So I had some amazing, brilliant reviews actually from some of you, and I was hitting like number 20 on like the UK history Spotify chart, which is amazing. I mean, it would be amazing to go higher if people would just rate me on Spotify and then share me with all their friends and make them listen to me. I'm just giving you options. And I had like 2 people reach out to me about like maybe helping me find an agent, which would be really nice because I really think I need one, because things are progressing, and I think I need an agent so that I can make money, so that I can pay an editor to make this just a better quality like podcast, because it's tough when it's just me recording in my pajamas, curled up under the covers in my bedroom. Listen, it's fucking Baltic here. It's so cold, and there's like ice warnings here. Well, yeah, there's an orange weather warning, which is super fun and not at all an inconvenience, to the point where I actually have to stay like an hour away in the town where I work. So I actually have to stay there overnight on Friday, because otherwise it's like a stupid o'clock morning bus I have to get, and there's no guarantee that I'll get to the bus or that the bus will make it through at that time in the morning because of all the frost and ice and snow. So that's a super fun thing. Luckily I think I might have that covered. I might have somewhere to stay, and if I don't, I'm just gonna have to fork out for a hotel room, even though I spent all my money buying Christmas presents for my kids. But it's fine. Everything's fine. Shh, don't panic. But I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, quit that jibber jabber and fact me. In fact you I will. But first, we've got to get our source on. Our sources are Christmas in the Crosshairs, 2,000 years of denouncing and defending the world's most celebrated holiday, by Jerry Bowler. Dickens and the Construction of Christmas, by Geoffrey Rowe. The Lords of Misrule, The Puritans' War on Christmas, by Chris Durston. And Yuletide Outlaws, by Rachel Schnepper. Are you sitting comfortably? Good. Then let's begin. So let's talk about the origins of Christmas. Yeah. So here's the fun fact. As context, as a beginning baseline, Christmas is not a biblical holy day. holiday, holy day. Ah, see what happened there? Yeah. So Christmas is not a biblical holiday. It's not. It is a public holiday. It is a federal holiday. It is a secular holiday, but it is not a biblical holy day. We need to keep that in mind before we go into the rest of this. Because, pal, you can read the Bible cover to cover. You can whir through those leafy pages, but no, nowhere in the Bible does it state that Christmas is a biblical holy day, nor that it should be. So that should give some context to why things kind of went the way they did for a while. So, to start off, Christmas wasn't always celebrated on December 25th. It wasn't until like 300 years after Jesus died that Pope Julius, I think it was Julius, was all like, no, that's when Christmas is going to be, this exact time, which just so happens to coincide with this pagan festival of Saturnalia. So like the birth of Christ was celebrated as like January 6th, March 29th, and June sometime. Like it was kind of all over the shop, you know what I mean? And then Pope Julius is like, no. It's going to be this day. It's going to be this day. So usually when something like that happens, when you sort of take like a particular festival or a particular tradition and you try and take it over, you usually adopt bits of said tradition. Kind of like how Easter, which is, you know, the first Sunday after the third full moon after the winter solstice. You know, it's kind of a reason why it's that weirdly specific time. And it's all about eggs and baby birds and fertility and all that kind of bunnies. Baby birds? Why did I go baby birds? Eggs. Fucking eggs, right? And bunnies, because they're always shagging in springtime. You know, back to Christmas. Going off on a ramble. Don't take cough syrup before you start recording. It usually doesn't end well. So, a lot of the sort of pagan festivities, they just kind of carried on, sort of intertwining with sort of Christian stuff. So, prior to the Victorian era, like the celebration of Christmas was very much sort of Christian, Roman Catholic, Anglican, like Lutheran even. It was very much a purely religious celebration. And like through the medieval era, there was just fucking weird ass shit going on. So there's this one feast, which I think we should bring back because it's fucking hilarious. And it's called the Feast of the Ass. Not what you're thinking of, it's the other one. No, the other one. Yeah, okay. So the Feast of the Donkey basically celebrated all donkey-related Bible stuff. No, I'm not fucking joking. It was all about, like, the donkey leading, like, the Holy Family and a flight to Egypt and getting them into, like, Bethlehem and all this other malarkey. So all good donkey Bible stuff. This was a celebration of it. It sort of was like a derivative of the Feast of Fools, and it was like really, really popular in France, and it became like a massive, massive thing from like the 12th century up until I think the 15th. And so what would happen is they would get a donkey, like an actual donkey. He would be, or she, like I don't know the gender of the donkey involved actually, that's presumptive of me. So the donkey is led in this procession through the centre of the wee French town all the way to the local church. Like, where like an actual religious service is happening. So they bring the donkey in and they bring the donkey up to the altar, and the donkey is there for the entirety of this service, and everyone in the church responds to the donkey. So every time the donkey is like, hee-haw, everyone in the church, the entire congregation, hee-haws in response. Hee-haw, hee-haw. Like, regardless, like they could be doing prayers of the faithful or, I don't know, letters of St. Paul to the Corinthians who are just, they never wrote back. It just feels mean at this point. But yeah, so the donkey would be celebrated. And then, after the donkey, leads the fucking church, like the mass, run by a donkey effectively. I mean, the priest is there, but he's not really relevant. And these massive fucking parties would follow, and they would be so wild, and there'd be such debauchery that it got to the point that, like, the Feast of the Ass was just banned, like, in villages and towns all over France, because they were like, we can't handle this. Fuck this for a game of soldiers. No, you can't be doing this. It's too much. It's just too much. So that gets banned, and that's gone. And then you've got the Lords of Misrule. Now this one ran, I think, up until, I want to say, Henry VIII. So the Lord of Misrule was like basically a jester or a clown or, comedy gold. They would be in charge. So they would become mayor or ruler or, I don't know, mayor seems incorrect. But they would become like in charge of the city or the town or wherever they were. And they would just be the boss. And everybody would just have to follow their rules. Kind of like wife swap, but with a jester instead of a wife. And with, an entire town full of citizens instead of just a family. So yeah, like that. And they would basically make them do all sort of weird, funny shit. But like maybe putting a jester in charge is not the best idea, because this is going to surprise you, but shit got out of hand real fast. And here's the thing, if you think that putting a jester in charge was bad, imagine putting a 3-year-old in charge. Oh no, that fucking happened. Like, so you know how so far all of these have involved social inversion, where it's like flipping the sort of roles of society on its head? This was very much part of the Saturnalia festival. Sometimes a donkey will lead a congregation. Another time, a jester will run a fucking town. Or a child will become a boy bishop and be the head of the church for the day. Like, they elected them. They would elect a child. Always a boy, obviously, because, misogyny. But at one point, they were electing, like, fucking toddlers. Now, they can barely control their own sort of bowel movements, let alone emotions, and you think this is who we want running the show? Needless to say, this did not usually end well, although much less debauchery, which I think is, I don't even know if that's a good thing or not.
Being a part of a royal family might seem enticing, but more often than not, it comes at the expense of everything else, like your freedom, your privacy, and sometimes even your head. Wondery's new podcast, Even the Royals, pulls back the curtain on royal families, past and present, from all over the world, to show you the darker side of what it means to be royalty. From icons like Grace Kelly, Oscar-winning actress turned Princess of Monaco, who the world saw as the ultimate good girl. She mastered playing a happy wife and mother, but beneath it all, she was desperately lonely. Grace spent her whole life working towards perfection, and it ultimately cost her her happiness. Or King Ludwig II from Bavaria. He was only 18 when his father died, leaving the crown to him and a duty to rule that he never wanted. He refused to lead, and used the funds from the royal treasury to further his extreme love of opera. But this choice eventually cost him the crown and his life. Follow Even the Royals on the Wondery app, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge even the Royals ad-free right now on Wondery Plus.
So, like the Lord of Misrule and things like that, that was banned by Henry VIII. He was like, no, not keen on this. And like Mary had brought it back in, Mary the First. And then when Elizabeth came in, she banned it again. She was like, fucking no, that's gone. The Anglicans, man, super not into it. But like back in the day, Christmas wasn't just mumble things under your breath in cold buildings and also eat a giant piece of meat. It was a big fucking festival. It was a party. It was like drinking and feasting and merriment and boozing and probably fucking. And it was Mardi Gras, right? It was just raucous and raunchy and debauchery and just a good fucking time for those who wanted to have it. And because it was such this massive celebration, like it became very looked down upon by the church and by Christians and by Puritans, actually. So the real war on Christmas was started by the Puritans because they're the ones who fucking banned it. Christians banned Christmas, okay? So you've got, on one hand, Oliver Cromwell, who fun is just not in his vocabulary. I mean, banning Christmas is probably the least bad thing he did. Just saying. But still, not cool, Oliver. Not cool. So when the Puritans take over and, you know, they've cut off Charles I's head and everything is just, you know, unpleasant. You know, there's no singing because that's bad. There's no merriment because that's also bad because it's a sin. Smiling is probably a sin. I don't fucking know. They don't like anything. Joy is a bad emotion and a bad feeling. Apparently suffering is the only way to exist. Which kind of sounds a bit similar to what some Christian teachings say, but that's neither here nor there. Ew. So, so when Cromwell, you know, takes over, he's like, fuck Christmas. No, not having it. No merriment, no joy. No fun, no parties, no nothing. None of it. And then over across to the colonies, the Puritans over in, I want to say, Massachusetts. Yes. On the 11th of May, 1659, the Massachusetts Bay Legislature just straight up bans Christmas. So yes, both sides of the Atlantic, the Christians ban Christmas. They're just like, fucking no, none of this. We don't like your feasting, your drinking, your excess, you know, all the stuff that goes with it. And it's only when King Charles II, when he comes back, that he just starts like reinstating the celebrations. He's like, no, bring back partying because he's the merry monarch, you know, it's all good. And in America, it wasn't until like post 1776 when the the United States of America became independent. It was only there that, you know, they really started celebrating Christmas again. And like for a good number of years, you could be fined like 5 shillings for celebrating Christmas. If you were caught celebrating Christmas, they'd fine your ass. But anyway, back to the UK. By the time we get to the 1700s, the Christmas carolers are, I'm going to say, a rowdy bunch. I mean, when I say rowdy, I mean aggressive. So what they would do is they would just show up at your house and they would demand shit, kind of like wassailing or mummering and things like that. Kind of from that sort of vein. Like, you know, the thing is, when it came to like the Halloween version of it, when they would show up and they would demand things, you know, it was more of a, oh, we better protect ourselves from the spooky things and give you the shit. More of a kind of understanding. Whereas this was a tad more aggressive, because they would threaten to break into your house, steal all your shit, beat you up, kill you, assault you in many different ways, you know, if they didn't get what they wanted. And what would happen as well is that because some conniving groups, because there's always some, is they would literally use like carol singing as a ruse so they could, just rob people, steal all their shit and kill them. Because, multitasking. But yes, in the 18th century, carol singers, men, they were all men, usually a wee bit tipsy, at the very least. They would go from house to house, threatening, destroying their property, like breaking all their shit, and also singing songs, demanding stuff. So like, the Christmas carol, it's like, give us some figgy pudding, and it's like, we won't stop until we get some. Yeah, that's because they're like, feed us, or we will wreck your shit. Which is a little bit more aggressive than one would like. And yeah, they would basically destroy stuff. Because if you didn't, give them what the fuck they wanted, a lot of the times they would just break your door down, come inside, steal your shit, and just go on their merry way. And this was such a huge problem that the church actually intervenes. So you have ministers doing sermons and they're complaining that, caroling leads to like violence and wantonness and chambering. They mean shagging, fucking, screwing, because if you're singing songs and drinking wine, you're just gonna fuck around. Hopefully consensually. Because if it's consensual, it's okay. If it's not, then you deserve to have your gillies put through a mincer. Anyway, by the time we get to the Victorians, this sort of Christmas resurgence takes place, and most of it is due to fucking Charles Dickens, who is just an awful human being, but damn did he help Christmas. So it basically changed the concept of Christmas from being this drunken party for dudes into sort of being more evolved around like family and friends and all that kind of goodness. And Charles Dickens did that, and that's why like a lot of Christmas stuff is associated with snow, because Charles Dickens grew up in Victorian England, which is, cold as fuck and snowy in the winter, and he like reminisced about it, and there we go. And that is where the whole Christmassy sort of turnabout happened, and where it went from like a big partying, crazy raucous rave for dudes, it became more like family based and all that kind of jazz. Like the Christmas tree itself was like a German tradition, and it was brought in by like Queen Victoria and Albert. And it, and so obviously if they're doing it, everyone else is going to do it too. Because, they were the celebrities of their day, really, when you think about it. And so, yes, that is a bunch of random information about Christmas. I hope you liked me talking about festive things, and that I made some coherent sense. I do hope. Now remember, if you liked this, or even if you didn't like it, maybe you just feel sorry for me. I'm sick. Help me. Go and review and rate 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. If you're on Apple Podcasts, just write something in the review box. Doesn't matter what you say. You could tell me your favourite Christmas cracker joke. It doesn't matter. I'd say it's not for my ego, but it is a little bit, because I like hearing nice things about me, because I am a glutton for attention. So that's just how it is. And don't forget, you can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, if Twitter still exists. I'm either Who Did What Now Pod or Who Did What Now PD, because that's that. If you want to donate towards the show surviving into the new year, you can always go to paypal.com and donate to whodidwhatnowpod@gmail.com. Also, links are in the description down below. Also, trying to think now. Yeah, if you're on social media, just DM me, because I will probably respond. Sometimes I have trouble responding to comments because there's just so many of them, and if I don't like designate a certain amount of my day to it, it's just not happening. So that's a fun thing. Trying not to cough so badly. My voice is really going. Anything else I want to say? Go watch Letterkenny if you don't watch it already. It's my current comfort thing. They're nice and short episodes, and they're easy to consume, especially in this cold, dank weather. So, I will chat to you next week, which is, I'm so proud of next week's episode, because I've been working on it for so long. I'm so proud. And I will chat to you then. Adios, au revoir, my friends. Bye-bye.